So if you've watched any of the recent videos I've done on this channel, you know I've been out walking in the woods, taking a lot of video clips with the GH5, and the GH5 is just fantastic for that kind of thing. I really love it, and the 35 to 100 millimeter lens works really well for getting pretty close, and with shooting in 4K and the extra extended teleconverter function on it, you can just kind of pop in and get a little bit closer, and it works well for animals that aren't too far off, and a lot of nature scenes where you can't get right up on the subject. But it does leave me wanting for a much better telephoto, and at this point I can't justify buying the 200 millimeter Panasonic Leica lens for this camera, or the 100 to 400 Panasonic Leica zoom. I want one of those at some point, but right now it just doesn't make sense because I wouldn't be using it in any professional capacity. It's a pretty expensive lens, either one of those. So what I do have is I have my old Canon T3i, and I happen to have my old Tamron 70 to 300 lens, and it's not super fast, so this isn't going to be a good setup for trying to capture flying birds or anything like that, but for most of what I've been trying to get pictures of, it's actually been kind of cool. So not really using it for any video to amount to anything, but just for getting a little bit tighter pictures right now. It's been kind of fun to go back and see how this does now that I've been using the GH5 for a couple of years. And I'll tell you, really, the results are pretty good under the right circumstances. Like I said, it's not real fast, so you can't use it in super low light conditions without running that shutter speed really slow. The high ISO performance is not good at all, and the resolution is 18 megapixels, I think, if I remember correctly, and that's still pretty good. They use this sensor in a number of different models for quite a while, so it's a decent sensor. This lens is good for getting you kind of closer. You know, like I said, it's a pretty good telephoto length, but it's not terribly sharp, so it's not going to be the greatest thing in the world or anything. This isn't like a professional setup, but it's a pretty darn good hobbyist setup and something to just get out and practice with. So anyway, I was kind of happy with the results. There's some funny things about using it because, like I said, using the GH5 for a couple of years, you get used to a lot of the features that are there. I'm really used to the electronic viewfinder now. I've kind of really switched my mind over to using a mirrorless camera instead of a DSLR. And another thing is that the stabilization on the GH5 really does further allow you to get such... So where was I? So another thing that was weird for me going back to the T3i is that I had to convert back to not having a touch screen. I've really become addicted to that and all the custom button functions all over the GH5 and the G85 for that matter, the Panasonic cameras. So the old Canon Rebel doesn't have all those really awesome new features and stuff like that, but the image is still pretty good in spite of the fact that it's not super fast or anything, and this lens isn't super sharp. I was still kind of happy, at least on a hobbyist level, with some of the wildlife shots that I got. So I'll share some of those here with you from what I got here walking around the last few days, and I'm going to walk around a little more today, get a few more and put on here, let you see how it does, and you can let me know what you think. So one thing I'd forgotten about with this Tamron lens is that it has what they call vibration reduction, which is their version of image stabilization, and it works pretty well considering. So it does give you a little bit better ability to bring that shutter speed down just a little bit when you've got a still subject and you're way out there at that long focal length. So anyway, kind of a cool thing. Still works well even though it's an old lens. So one of the things that I noticed right away when I started using this lens again was that the bokeh just isn't that good. I've gotten really accustomed to a better, smoother look in the background, the out of focus areas of my Lumix lenses. And what I've been doing is in the images where it really offends me the most is I go in and just paint over those out of focus areas with the brush in Lightroom, and then just reduce the sharpening and clarity. And I know that's kind of a cheat, but it does make the image look better, so it's definitely worth giving that a try if you got that problem. So another thing that I take for granted a lot of times with the GH5 and even to some degree the G85 is that they are weather sealed. And I'm out here along this creek trying to take pictures of snakes, and I am a long ways from the car, and there's a pretty good chance of a rain cloud brewing right now, so we'll see how this turns out. So a little drama on my walk today. I do have a couple of Ziploc bags in my camera bag that hopefully at least the camera body would fit into one of those. I don't know about this lens because it is pretty big. I may not have a bag big enough for that, but anyway, I hope that I can get out of here without any water damage. So we'll see. All right, well, I'm almost back to my car, and it didn't rain on me, so minor crisis averted. Okay, so the moral of the story for me anyway is that it might be a good idea to keep your old camera gear, no matter how technologically inferior it might be, for a while until you're sure that your new stuff can really replace all the capabilities that you had with it. Especially considering that I changed camera systems, so my Canon lenses obviously don't fit the mount on the Lumix cameras without an adapter, that is, and I really haven't gone that route yet either, so I'm kind of stuck with some of what I could do with this just on this particular setup. So anyway, you can let me know what you think and what your experiences were with any similar situation. Leave comments, questions, and if you got a question, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible, so just leave that in the comments and I'll look out for it. And in the meantime, thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.